Yep, it's another flanker, and this time Paco Rabanne have given us a good one. To hear my thoughts on the brand new 1 Million Parfum, stay tuned to FM. I didn't even realise this one was coming out until about a week ago. I received a package which contained another fragrance, but the company had thrown in a sample, and to my great surprise, it was 1 Million Parfum. So this review is based on this sample. I have been wearing this for about a week. I've pretty much drained this sample dry. It's all gone. But not to worry, because I will be buying a bottle. So I don't have the bottle to show you in this video, but I will show you a picture of it. So let's have a look at the bottle and I'll tell you about the notes. So this one isn't even on Fragrantica yet, so these are the notes that I've just pulled off Paco Rabanne's website, and I'm sure there are more notes than this, but I think these are probably the main notes. So in this one we have some tuberose, some monoi oil, cashmeran, leather, ambergris, salty accords, pine needles and solar accord. And if I'm just looking at the ingredients on the back of the sample packet here, there also seems to be cinnamol, which I'm guessing is cinnamon, giving us a cinnamon accord, and also there is coumarin, so there will be some tonka bean or tonka bean accord in this fragrance, and also violet is mentioned, so there's possibly some violet in here as well. So there you go, that is the best I can do for the notes so far for this one. As you can see, the bottle is in keeping with the rest of the 1 Million line, slightly different logo engraving on the front, but we do get it as that solid gold bar, the blingy appearance that we associate with 1 Million. And I'm just going to read you what is written on the inside of the sample card here. Solar, leather, heat on skin, a flower freshly salted. Too much? Well, no, it's not too much, because I really like this fragrance. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. As I talk to you about the fragrance, I'm going to use my last few little drops of my sample here on my arm just to remind me of the opening of this. So I think the first thing that you'll notice when you smell the fragrance, when you first spray it on, is it has this sweet floral characteristic, and this sweet floral is coming from the tuberose. I think the tuberose is definitely at the heart of this fragrance, but it's not an overly floral fragrance. Don't worry that it's too floral to be masculine, it absolutely isn't. I think it's a unisex fragrance, but I think it does have some very masculine qualities, so don't be put off by the fact that there is tuberose in here. And tuberose is, in my experience, often creating this lovely white floral piercing sweetness in scents. Sometimes it can be almost bubblegummy. I don't think it goes as far as that in this fragrance. You do get this sweetness, but it's not so piercing because it is nicely balanced with a lot of the other notes within this fragrance, so it stops it from becoming too sweet. It's certainly not cloyingly sweet at all. The other thing that we get in this fragrance, you might have noticed when I read out the notes, is monoi oil. I didn't know what this was, so I've had to look this up. But basically what it is coconut oil combined with Tahitian gardenia. So it creates this floral, coconutty, slightly salty accord, I would say. So the florals are coming from this gardenia and from the tuberose. And whenever there's a coconutty type of accord in a fragrance, it often can give you a sort of suntan lotion vibe, and this one definitely does, although it does not dominate the fragrance. You don't smell this fragrance and immediately think, oh, it's suntan lotion. There's a lot more going on, so it's more of a hint of a suntan lotion vibe. And what I would describe this as, and I think this is the aim of the fragrance from what I can gather, because they've got these solar, salty, warmed up skin accords in here, is if you've ever had the pleasure of being somewhere hot and sunny and a loved one, hopefully it's a loved one and not a stranger, has asked you to rub some sun cream into their back, and their skin is warm and maybe they're sweating a little bit, so you get that kind of saltiness from that warmed up skin, and you apply the sun cream. A lot of sun cream has coconut scent with it, so as you're applying that sun cream, and it's not an unpleasant scent, but it does remind me of that smell that you get. It's kind of slightly warmed up skin in the heat, in the sun, with this coconut vibe going on, and it's actually really pleasant. Another thing that you'll notice when you spray the fragrance is it's got a lot of density, it's got a lot of weight to it, more so than I think any of the other releases actually. A little bit more than Prive, but Prive was a bit heavier, but it's certainly heavier than the original 1 Million. And a little bit heavier than Lucky as well. Lucky was quite a gourmand sweet fragrance. I would say this is a little weightier and a little more dense than Lucky. Paco Rabanne have not done this one by halves. They've gone big, they've gone all in, they've committed to an idea which I love. So I've mentioned that this is weighty, it's got a density to it, it's also got a beautiful smoothness, and this is perhaps due to the Cashmeran note. So Cashmeran accord is a slightly spicy, woody, slightly fruity accord, which represents the smooth, sensuous nature of the actual material of Cashmeran, and it does lend exactly that to this fragrance. Also in the notes there was pine. Now I will say that I don't really pick up too much on the pine. If you search for it, you could maybe think, is it there in the background? But I would be lying if I could say, yes, I detect a slight nuance of pine needles. It's maybe there in the background. If it is, it's certainly not a prominent note at all, and it is not going to be strong enough to remind you of pine-scented cleaning products.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
Ambergris is listed in the notes, but I very much doubt real ambergris is being used. It's probably some sort of aroma chemical that is reproducing the qualities of ambergris. Nevertheless, it may be adding to this kind of smooth, sensual saltiness. As the fragrance starts to dry down, I would say the floral aspect does fade a little, although it does remain all throughout the life of the fragrance, but I think it is stronger in the opening, and it becomes this kind of woody, salty, warmed up skin type of accord as it goes further into the dry down. Another thing that is mentioned in the literature that goes with this fragrance is this solar accord. So solar is to do with the sun and warmth and radiating. So I think this solar accord is just a way of summing up this warmed up kind of skin and this salty accord. I hope I've been able to give you some idea of how 1 Million Parfum smells. By the way, even though it's called Parfum, I think it is an eau de parfum concentration. I really enjoy it. To me, this is more of a niche quality style fragrance rather than your typical designer fragrance. I wouldn't say it is generic. It feels like the blend here is very good. It feels like a lot of thought has gone into it. It feels like the materials used here are good, whether they're predominantly aroma chems or whether there's some naturals in here. It smells nice, it smells smooth, it smells well blended. It smells richer and more expensive than a lot of designer fragrances. So I really enjoy 1 Million. I love the original. I think it's a great fragrance. I didn't really use it a lot in my younger years, so I don't remember smelling 1 Million a lot. I remember smelling Dupe and I remember smelling La Malle a lot, but 1 Million was something that I felt that in my youth I didn't really encounter, so I don't have this association with it being a fragrance just for young people. So I smell 1 Million and I think it smells lovely. I really enjoy wearing it. I've just purchased it recently, in fact. What I would say is that 1 Million, I think with it being an eau de toilette, it's more diffusive. So when you spray on 1 Million, I think it radiates more. I think people will smell you more. I think there's a bigger scent bubble and more sillage. You're going to get less of that from the Parfum here. It will project, but it's going to be projecting around about half an arm's length. It's just not as diffusive as 1 Million, but I think, you know, that's not what it's designed to be. So I probably enjoy it just as much as 1 Million. I also enjoy it, I was going to say just as much as Prive, but if I'm honest, I think with Prive having that kind of boozy tobacco, I think I love Prive just a little bit more, but not by much at all. Parfum is a really beautiful scent. I do enjoy it more than Lucky. Lucky was okay. I wasn't that keen on the hazelnut notes in there, and I didn't feel that it particularly had great performance off my skin. Lots of people claimed that it did, and lots of people love that fragrance, and I do usually like gourmand fragrances, but there was just something about Lucky that just didn't excite me very much. Okay scent, but for me it wasn't one of my favourites, so I do prefer this over Lucky. And I have to say that I'm not familiar with 1 Million cologne either, so I can't directly compare it to that one. So I mentioned about the performance. Performance is pretty good for this one. You're getting, as I said, about half an arm's length, and it's going to be projecting for around 1 to 2 hours. Longevity is very good for this scent. I got a good 8 hours, if not a little bit more from this one. You can extend that if you spray it on clothes as well, so performance is good. I would say in terms of occasions, I think it's quite versatile, even though it is a full-bodied, quite heavy fragrance. I think because of this warmed up skin, salty accord, the associations with sun cream and being on holiday, I think it would work well in the summer. I think it would work well in the autumn, and I think you could wear this in the winter as well. So I think it is quite a versatile fragrance, actually. I think the occasion to wear this would be a date night scent, possibly a summer evening date night scent. It's got that lovely, sensual, smooth quality to it. It's not massively projecting, so it's a nice scent to wear if you're being a bit more intimate with someone, if you're sitting close with them in a restaurant. It smells a little bit more mature than the original 1 Million. I think that is definitely a more youthful scent. For this one, for the Parfum, I would say you're probably looking at 25 plus to wear this, but I think you could wear this all the way, you know, up to old age really. I don't think there's an age limit on this, but I think anyone under the age of 25 might find it a little bit more mature. Something I haven't mentioned up until this point is the leather aspect of this fragrance, or the listed leather accord here, because I didn't really pick up too much on leather. I don't feel like I get a sharp leather. I don't feel like I get that smooth suede type leather. So the leather in here is just perhaps adding to the overall weight and is just making the fragrance a bit more robust perhaps overall, but I don't think the leather really jumps out. But perhaps it's the addition of this note that does make me think, yeah, maybe this one is just a little bit more mature than the original 1 Million. My opinion is that 1 Million Parfum takes the core, the DNA of the original 1 Million and what was so good about that, and it adds some darker notes. It makes the fragrance richer, deeper, more robust, more sophisticated, more classy, and a little bit more mature. So it's quite a departure, I think, from the other flankers in the line, and credit to Paco Rabanne on this one, because I think all the versions of 1 Million, all the fragrances in the 1 Million lineup, they've given them all their own distinctiveness, their own identity. So you could actually own all of the 1 Million fragrances, flankers, and none of them would be redundant, and that's just good business, right? I really enjoy this scent. I think it's fantastic. I will certainly be purchasing a bottle of this when it becomes available to buy. I'm not quite sure when that is. I heard it's going to be sometime in March, which is where we are now, but as yet it's not on sale anywhere. It's on Paco Rabanne's website, so you can go and have a look at the information, but you can't yet buy it on there as of filming this video. I really feel with this one that Paco Rabanne had a brief, they gave the perfumers the brief, and they fulfilled it. I don't think there were any compromises in this. I feel like this is the artistic vision of the perfumers. I don't think that they've tried to dumb it down and make it more mass appealing just to sell more. But it's still very wearable. I think it is going to sell. I think it is going to be a popular fragrance, and credit to Paco Rabanne for having an idea and following it through all the way to the end. Have you been lucky enough to receive a magical, unexpected sample through the mail like I did? I'm sure some of you out there have smelled it. If you have, please let me know. I'd love to see how your thoughts compare to mine. Obviously, this is all personal opinion. This is all subjective. I'm not saying that everyone out there will love this fragrance, but I think it's a well done fragrance, and I think it is going to be popular for Paco Rabanne. I think it will sell really well. So let me know your thoughts if you smelled it. Okay, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.